Bat and the End of Everything, Chapter 23, Part 2. That is so cool that you wrote to Dr. Jerry Dragoo, and he wrote back, Israel said. Thanks, said Janie, and she closed her laptop. Bat's dad said, You might not believe this, but I wrote to a skunk expert too. And today I got his response. That's why I stopped by. He pulled up a folded up letter from his pocket. I was telling my friend Suzette about Thor, and she mentioned that she'd once met a scientist who studies skunks. Get this. His name is Dr. Ted Stankiewicz. Stankiewicz, Israel said. That's the perfect name for a skunk expert. What did Dr. Stankiewicz say? Bat asked. He says that a skunk as bonded as Thor to you is probably wouldn't do very well in the wild, Dad said. He might be too friendly with humans who could think he's dangerous if he walked right up to them. And he might not know how to deal with predators, like coyotes or owls. And then, at the end, he wrote, Skunks that are bonded to owners make terrific, loving pets if raised in the right way. Dad looked up from the letter and smiled. And you've certainly raised Thor well, he said. I'm really proud of how good you are with him. Bat smiled back. His dad wasn't a fan of animals, like Bat and Mom were. But still, he'd written to Dr. Stankiewicz, and he thought that Bat should keep Thor too. That's cool, you found another skunk expert, Bat said. Thank you. Dad grinned. I love you, sport. And this time, the nickname didn't bother Bat at all. Mom cleared her throat. I've been doing some research too, she said. And Bat, I agree with Dr. Jerry Dragoo and Dr. Stankiewicz, and your dad and your sister and Israel. You and Thor belong together. Bat could hardly believe what he was hearing. He didn't have to fight at all. Everyone understood how much he and Thor needed each other. They understood. They understood him. Bat looked around at all the smiling faces. Mom and Dad and Janie and Israel. Light was coming in through the kitchen window, shining in golden dapples on everyone. His body felt all sorts of mixed up together, happy and excited and sort of sick, like he'd been on a roller coaster. Overwhelmed, like he needed to be alone for a while, and grateful, like he wanted to stay right where he was. He felt his elbows bend and his hands beginning to flap, which helped him feel better. I'll be right back, Bat said at last. He stood up and went to his room. For a minute, he just stood there as his hands calmed down and dropped to his sides. He breathed deeply until his stomach stopped fluttering. There were tears on his cheeks, Bat realized, and he wiped them away. He took one more deep, ragged breath, and then he walked over to the enclosure where Thor was curled up into a ball in his t-shirt nest. Bat opened his gate. Little Thor, he cooed softly. Thor blinked open his eyes, yawned lazily, and stretched. Then he walked right over and waited to be picked up. Bat scooped up the skunk gently, held him close, and kissed his head. Thor nuzzled his leathery nose into the crook of Bat's neck, just the way he always did. Come on, Bat said, helping Thor onto his favorite spot, Bat's shoulder. We're having a family meeting. Bat walked back to the kitchen. Thor balanced on his shoulder. Everyone was still there at the table waiting for him. We're back, Bat said. We're all here now. The whole family. The kitchen was full of sunlight and love and warmth. It was full of a mom who was a hero veterinarian, and a dad who was trying to do better every day, and a good sister who sometimes had hard days too, just like Bat, and a best friend, home from Canada, and a perfect skunk named Thor, and a boy called Bat, who knew right then that he was exactly where he belonged. The end. Author's note. Believe it or not only is there a real Dr. Jerry Dragoo who really does run the Dragoo Institute for Betterment of Skunks and Skunk Reputations, there is also a real Dr. Ted Stankiewicz. Both of these experts agree that the best place for wild animals is the wild, except in rare cases like Thor's, when the animal is so bonded to humans that being released wouldn't be safe. You can visit Dr. Dragoo's website at www.dragoo.org and the Stankiewicz Lab at www.csulb.edu/tstankawoo if you'd like to learn more. Heartfelt thanks to Dr. Jerry Dragoo and Dr. Ted Stankiewicz for their input and advice. And thank you for listening to this story. I had so much fun sharing it with you. And until next time, Bets out.